Shout out to everybody that's going to be joining us on YouTube tonight, guys. We're going to be having a couple of black candidates that's running for office that's going to be up in the actual broadcast tonight. We hope to have a few of them up in here, but I know we'll probably have a couple that speak tonight. They're going to discuss their platform and what office they're running for, whether state, local, federal. We're also going to be discussing the situation with reparations going on in Boston, St. Louis, and San Francisco as well too. So we're going to be touching up on a number of things. We're going to have it's going to be a political space tonight. It's going to be about the candidates, and it's going to be about reparations. If you guys missed last night's space, definitely go ahead and the last night broadcast, which was a pretty good broadcast. Definitely go ahead and check that out. That's up in the actual YouTube on the actual page on YouTube. And if you're on X, then you can check out the spaces that the space that was last night. What space was that last night? What broadcast was that, DJ? You remember? I forgot just that quick. Can't remember what was it? Was it about the Democrats leaving in droves? Hell, I forgot. We have so many of these spaces sometimes I forget. So whatever, definitely check it out last night, guys. Just definitely check it out. My mind just drew a blank real quick, so definitely check that out. It was about Democrats. Democrats afraid black voters are leaving Biden in droves. So yeah, check that broadcast out. It was a pretty good one last night. What's up, FBA Goddess? We got FBA Goddess. She's running for office as well too. So we got FBA Goddess. We got Miss Nichols up in the spot as well too. So we're gonna give a few more minutes, let a few more people come up in here. Like I say, before we actually get into it, give our people a chance. FBA Goddess, what's going on with you? How you doing tonight?
Hey, drop me real quick. I'm in the Matrix. What's up, Sister Goddess? Drop me real quick, though.
Okay. Hey, how you doing, FBA Goddess?
Hey, I'm doing good. Sorry about that. I was late to my picture.
No, you good. You good. The space, we always got people late to this space. So like everybody always comes late. So it is what it is. That's why I try to delay the actual YouTube turn on YouTube at 8 o'clock, because there's always a delay with our people coming in and stuff like that. A lot of people only come in really around 8:30, 8:40, sometimes 9 o'clock or whatever. So, but I'm glad to have you up in here.
Black Americans, so
Yeah, they do. That's true. But I'm glad to have you up in here. You're running for office, and Miss Nichols beside you, she's running for office as well too. I know we had a couple other people as well, that was talking about coming in here. So, if they can't get in here initially, if they come in here, I'll still let them come on up here and discuss exactly about their platform. Got a bunch of people now. I'm gonna get to you first, FBA, or you can go ahead and actually you can let the people know exactly what's up. Like I said, I kind of want to wait. I want to wait just for a second before people come in, because I want them to be able to hear you guys' platform. So I don't want to go ahead and get started right this second, because I want people to actually hear what you guys are talking about, discussing. But while we're waiting, I can
invite somebody too that is running for mayor. So I invited him. Hopefully he hurry up and come, but he said he was. So
okay. Well, while we waiting, I'll go ahead and I'll touch up on a couple of the reparation issues that's going on right now. So while we got everybody, our candidates are still, slowly coming in. As they start to come in, we'll go ahead. Quad, I see you down there in the listener section too. If you if your man Tariq gets a chance to come in, hopefully he'll come in tonight and he can discuss his platform a little bit more as well too. So let me go ahead and touch up on this real quick, guy. Up in the Jumbotron, you'll find the actual articles for the night. You will find the actual articles for the night. The articles are all up in the Jumbotron. I'm going to start first with the situation going on in Boston. This is from Neo Jim Crow. It says Boston People's Reparation Commission calls for $15 billion payouts from the city. In a statement released on Sunday, the grassroots group's Boston People's Reparation Commission called on the city of Boston to distribute $15 billion in cash payouts to Black Bostonians. The money will serve as part of local reparations for the harm caused by slavery and centuries of anti-Black institutional oppression, said the organization. The Boston People's Reparation Commission is a community-based group comprised of 70 commissioners across Boston. The $15 billion will be used in three primary ways, the group said: paying reparations to individuals, creating new financial institutions that support Black home ownership and business growth, and developing a program that will help close the Black and white achievement gap in the violence reduction and community justice. It is imperative that we address the issue of Black reparations in Boston if we seek true democracy and beloved community, said the Reverend Kevin Peterson, the founder of Boston People's Reparation Commission. Peterson also expressed wanting to change the name of Boston's iconic Faneuil Hall, whose namesake made a fortune in the slave trade, as a step towards reparation. Our ultimate goal is repair and reconciliation in Boston, a city plagued by racial strife, added Peterson. In the past, the Boston People's Reparation Commission has worked with the City of Boston's Task Force on Reparations, created in 2022. The task force goals include researching the legacy of slavery in Boston and its impact on descendants today, engaging the community to receive input on the lived experiences, and giving recommendations to Mayor Michelle Wu for reparative justice solutions for Black residents. The Boston People's Reparation Commission's press release also said they will host community reparation hearings in May and October. Last Saturday, they hosted a gathering in Nubian Square to protest reparation requests that the city has never made efforts to repair the harm caused by slavery and centuries of anti-Black institutional racism. Righty, guys. Do you guys want to say anything about that before I go to the next one? I guess let me go to the next one. Let me go ahead and go to St. Louis. St. Louis Mayor Tashara O. Jones to engage directly with Reparations Commission in a historic move, also from the neo-Jim Crow. In a city where the echoes of the past resonate through its present, St. Louis Mayor Tashara O. Jones is poised to take a step that marks a significant moment in the city's journey towards addressing racial injustices. For the first time since its inception over a year ago, Mayor Jones will attend the Reparations Commission meeting, an entity she initiated to confront and mend the deep-seated racial divide stemming from the city's history of slavery and segregation. This move comes amidst critiques of elected officials' lack of presence at the commission meetings and calls for the commission members for vital city funding to support their endeavors. Mayor Jones' decision to attend the Reparations Commission meeting is not merely a ceremonial gesture, but a pivotal moment in St. Louis' ongoing struggle to reconcile with its past. The commission, which has grappled with challenges such as insufficient public engagement and visibility, sees Mayor Jones' participation as a beacon of hope. Her appearance is in direct response to the commission's plea for more substantial support from the city, including financial backing to carry out its mission. Despite the anticipation, the mayor's office has yet to provide concrete assurance regarding the commission's request for funding. During the meeting, Mayor Jones, alongside SLDC CEO Neil Richardson, is set to unveil the city's economic justice action plan. The plan aims to channel investments into predominantly Black neighborhoods, which have suffered for decades of neglect and disinvestment. By focusing on revitalizing these communities, the mayor's initiative seeks to lay the groundwork for a more equitable St. Louis. This proposal is a crucial element of the broader conversation on reparation, highlighting the city's commitment to not only acknowledge its racially charged history, but actively working towards rectifying it. The Reparations Commission, initially expected to present its report by March, has been granted an extension until September to finalize its recommendations. This extension underscores the complexity of addressing the legacies of slavery and racism, which are deeply ingrained in the fabric of St. Louis. As Mayor Jones prepares to participate in the commission's meeting, the city awaits with bated breath, hoping that the engagement will mark a turning point in the fight for racial justice. However, the road ahead remains fraught with challenges, including garnering sufficient public support and ensuring that the commission's recommendations translate into tangible actions. As St. Louis stands at a crossroad, Mayor Jones' involvement in the Reparations Commission meeting signifies a crucial step forward, yet it also serves as a reminder of the long journey ahead in healing the wounds of the past and for forging a path towards a more inclusive and equitable future for all its residents. Of course, you guys heard about the apology that San Francisco had. San Francisco formally apologizes to Black residents for systematic discrimination. San Francisco is offering a formal apology to its Black residents for decades of systematic discrimination and targeted acts of violence. In a historic move on Tuesday, all 11 members of the city's Board of Supervisors unanimously voted to adopt a resolution to apologize to Black residents and commit to the rectification and redress of past policies and misdeeds. The resolution apologizes on behalf of the Board of Supervisors of the City County of San Francisco to African Americans and their descendants for systematic and structural discrimination, targeted acts of violence, and atrocity according to San Francisco's legislation. During the meeting, Supervisor Shaman Walton thanked the African American Reparations Advisory Committee, which develops recommendations for repairing harm in Black communities, and noted we have much more work to do, but this apology is certainly an important step. The resolution is the first recommendation the Board of Supervisors has approved from the committee. Supervisor Hillary Rodden reflected on the mass protests following the death of George Floyd and the widespread call for reform across America, which was a driving force in the formal apology. People in the United States were everywhere, all across the country, out in the streets and saying enough is enough. It was one of the most exciting moments I've ever got to live through because it felt like there was real fundamental change and reckoning happened. San Francisco follows Boston in being among the first major cities to enact a formal apology of this kind. In May 2023, California State Reparations Task Force voted to approve recommendations on one of the most significant reparation campaigns for Black Americans in modern U.S. history. The task force proposed for eligible Californians to receive atonement under international law's 5 forms of reparations: compensation, restitution, rehabilitation, satisfaction, and guarantees of non-repetition, according to the task force chair, Camilla Moore. According to the Pew Research Center, 77% of African Americans support reparations for descendants of enslaved people. Now, that's a far cry from the dude that was in the space of Judge Joe Brown space. The white guy was saying that he heard 2 out of 3 Black people, what did he say? 2 out of 3 Black people were against reparations. And I told him right in and there that was not true. That's not correct. 2 out of 3 Black people are not against reparations. Shout out to everybody coming up in the space, guys. Go ahead and retweet the space out. We're going to have a political candidate space tonight, and we're going to be talking about reparations as well. We got 2 candidates up in the space right now. We got FBA Goddess, and we got Miss Nichols as well, too, where you will see Founder Redemption. That's her. So we're going to go ahead and FBA Goddess, do you want to go ahead and share your platform now? You want to wait, or you want to touch up on the actual reparation talk that I just got through doing? How do you want to do it? Your co-host for the night. Tell me how you want to run it.
I was going to wait to learn for myself, but when it comes to reparations, hold on one second. St. Louis I knew about, but I didn't know about a lot of the stuff that you read, but as far as the mayor, I didn't know anything about that. I don't know. That's kind of, I don't know too much about that part. The mayor, she's sitting on the task force.
Well, the mayor, she's not sitting on the task force, but she's actually coming to the meetings. They were saying like basically they were getting they weren't getting any support from any of the actual elected officials coming and supporting anything like that. So she's actually making her way up to actually meet with them. She actually decided to actually attend the actual Reparations Commission meeting.
I don't know, because I'm just thinking about how my mayor of the city I live in, and her, I wouldn't even want her attending because she's not really, she don't care. So, and she's not trying to get it started either. So, I don't know. I think they should allow other people besides her to be. I don't think she should be involved.
See, the thing is that apparently FBA, none of the actual people in office, in politics, really nobody visibly came up there and really supported or showed any support for it whatsoever. So I guess they feel, just the fact that the mayor is actually going to come and attend the actual commission meeting, because I guess it wasn't top priority for them. If nobody had actually ever even stepped into any of the major political players around town in St. Louis actually came, and the mayor, of course, with the name Tashara Jones, she is Black. Of course, we know that. She's a Black woman. So, this is her first time actually making it to the actual Reparations Commission. And like I say, apparently nobody else, it seems like, was coming up there as well too. So they're looking for public backing. They're looking for support. They're looking for funding as well too to go ahead and expand this as well too. So St. Louis recently, some of the what was it, Atlanta the other day, or one of the cities in Georgia, I believe it was Atlanta. They were making some headway as well too about the reparations and stuff as well. So it's something that's catching on like wildfire everywhere, pretty much. Alrighty. I see Miss Nichols, you came up here. Did you want to speak right now, or did you want to wait?
Yeah, I wanted to speak now because I know I can't stay on the whole time. But thanks to everybody in the room. Thanks, Newstoter, for reaching out and having me join the space. So I just want to introduce myself briefly for those that don't know me. My name is Hashaki Noni Nichols, and I am the founder of the Redemption Party. We are an independent party focused on fiscal responsibility, limiting federal government to empower local government and constitutional sovereignty. I was running for president for 2024, and I've decided to suspend my campaign and focus on the legislative body and run for U.S. Senate representing Georgia in 2028. And I'll be running for Senator Warnock's seat. So I did want to, have some positive announcements. The Redemption Party, we won our first election in November 2023 in the city of Roseland, Indiana, where we actually have the majority of the seats in a city that was democratically run since 1916. So we were able to unseat 3 of the 4 in a small city. And it doesn't seem like a big win, but it is a major win, being that we were a new political party and we hadn't even made it a year being a new political party. So to speak to the reparations going on in Boston and St. Louis and the apology in San Francisco, first of all, the apology in San Francisco, lip service, no thank you. The Congress did the same thing. If you want to do me a favor, why don't you hold a convention of states and remove slavery from the Constitution? Because your apologies do not translate into legislation that will actually protect Black people. So to me, it's a bunch of words of lip service. As far as reparations in St. Louis and Boston, again, it's a good gesture. But the downside that I see, and just for full disclosure, I'm a paralegal, so I do look for things in a legal perspective. I don't see the legal path from a state level as far as financing goes. Only because we could get the money from the judgment fund, but at that point, it would have to be at the federal level. And that's part of the reason why I'm deciding to run for U.S. Senate, because I could fight to get an actual act for reparations codified into law so that we actually get it, because that's where we need to get it from, is from the U.S. government disseminated to the states. So I hope everybody can follow the conversation and where I'm coming from that perspective. So I just wanted to, follow up with everything that Newstoter had read from. But again, the Redemption Party, we do have a focus to what I'm looking to do, because I'm also going to be the legislative liaison for the city, is to put a form of an anti-Black hate crime bill in that city so that there will be people there that are Black, and unfortunately Indiana still has this racist pocket, but those individuals will be protected in that city. And our goal is to, have the Redemption Party, one small city at a time throughout the country, making sure that a form of reparations is given at the local level, and we don't have to wait for the federal government to give us anything. So I'm really hoping everybody can follow me on that, because right now the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, they hear the buzzwords and they're like, oh yeah, we want to give you these things because we want your vote. But I'm like, we need to get this done. So the Redemption Party, we are definitely looking at putting together a model that other individuals can follow, whether they are Republican, Democrat, Independent, whether they're with the Redemption Party or not. There will be a model to follow at the local level, so that if we don't get the financial reparations, we can at least put the protections in place. So I'll land there and mute my mic for any questions.
Okay, thank you. And guys, feel free. Like I say, we have a candidate that's in here right now, so feel free if you guys want to come up here and ask her anything as well too. Now, I know before you were running for president, and you said that you decided to go ahead and focus on trying to get Raphael Warnock's spot. You said that his seat comes open in 2028.
Yes.
Okay. So you're in Georgia then, actually then.
Yes. Yeah, I'm in the state of Georgia, and it kind of makes sense to run for Senate or even House, but I do want to run for Warnock's seat because the U.S. Senate is actually responsible for getting the funding to their states. So we need to look at getting those types of seats, either U.S. Senate or state Senate, so we can disseminate funds. Right, because if we can focus on getting the seats where we have control of the purse, then we can start getting stuff done. And like I said, I'm not, really trying to say you have to be Redemption Party or independent or, Republican or Democrat, because we need to be in all spaces at all times to get this done. We just need to be on code about it if everybody can understand where I'm coming from, because the code is unity. The code is getting this job done. It's not about necessarily having one leader here or one leader there, because if we're on code, we're going to get the job done. And that's how a lot of these other groups have gotten the job done. They are on code, and that's what we really need to be at.
Hey, Ms. Nichols, we have one of our listeners on YouTube. They want you to go ahead and repeat your name and spell it for them as well too, because it's not in the actual chat. Can you do that if you don't mind?
Oh, sure thing. So my name is Hashaki Noni Nichols. My first name is Afhaki. Middle name is Noni, Noni, and my last name is Nichols, Nichols.
Okay. Thank you. And guys, if you guys have any questions over there on YouTube too, and you want to ask, feel free. And guys, like I said, we're talking about the situation going on too. I want to hear what you guys think about the apology that in San Francisco they just laid down as well too. Rella, I know you from out in that area as well too, so feel free. I got my man Original up here. I see Brother Moku's up here as well too, guys. What do y'all feel about the apology that they because we'll probably have at least a couple candidates, I believe, that will probably speak. We got FBA Goddess. She's running for office up there in North Carolina as well too. She'll later on in the program, she'll give a heads up on exactly what she's running for, her platform and everything else as well too. But we got 3 different cities that's talking about reparations. That's also in the actual title tonight. We got Boston, we got San Francisco, and we got St. Louis as well too. And if I'm not mistaken, all of those cities would have what they consider. St. Louis has a black mayor, female black woman mayor. Does Boston is the London Breed? Is she still there? Not Boston, but San Francisco. Is London Breed still the actual mayor of London Breed? Was the actual mayor of San Francisco, wasn't she? If anybody knows that, wasn't London?
She's still a mayor.
Okay, so we got 2 black mayors, and then we have an Asian mayor in Boston. Woo. So Michelle Wu. So we actually have 3 female mayors of these cities that we're actually talking about tonight with the reparations as well too. So
Karen Bass in LA.
Well, Karen is in LA, but yeah, I was just talking about San Francisco. Yeah, we got Karen in LA, but just when we talk about the apology that San Francisco actually came out with and actually did or whatever. But tonight, yeah, we got 2 of them actually black women. And is London Breed she's fully black? Is she mixed? Anybody know if she's mixed or not? Not saying that even if you mix, you're still gonna claim black.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Okay, so we got 2.
She is on the list of the Action for Cities mayors that advocate for immigration for these illegals. So get her up out of there.
Oh, okay. So she is one of those mayors, and okay. Oh, okay. Let me give a shout out real quick to Mary. Mary, thank you, sweetie, for your contribution on Cash App. Let me go ahead and get to it. And y'all, everybody coming up in the space shout out. I see Black Majority State down there. Let me give a shout out to my girl Tony. Tony, she was like the first person to hit. Sometimes Tony's like one of the first people up in the space, but she always support and she listens on YouTube as well too. So shout out to Tony. She's not gonna come up and speak, but I still appreciate the sister coming up here as well. She will leave comments though in the actual space. I see Ray down there. Quadir, if you get a chance, if you get your man Tariq up in here, I know he's running for office. He was up in the other space we had that time. If you get a chance, holler at him and let him know that we got a space going on tonight, and he can talk about his platform as well too. Shout out to Ray, Black Pressure. Shout out to all y'all that's up in here. My girl Shannon. So definitely, guys, and retweet the space out as well too. Retweet the space out, and let me give a shout out to Brother Moku for his donation on Cash App. Let me go ahead and get to my man Original, and like I say, for my speakers down there, come on, guys, because we talking about. Everybody likes to talk about reparations, so we got 3 different cities we focusing on tonight as well too, and we got a political space where we'll get our political candidates in there. I sent an invite to Dion Jenkins. We'll see if Dion comes up in the space as well too, guys. But okay, everybody with the smile. But okay, there we go. We got the hands coming up, so let me go ahead and kick it to Original, Brother Moku, and then Quadir. What's up, Original? Okay. You got it, Original.
Original, big dog. Ski.
Peace, black power, and lineage-based reparation. You know, Newstoter, I would listen to you read that about St. Louis, but I heard you read something where they said in predominantly black neighborhood, and it seems that every time something has to do with us, they always start with this ambiguous language because. Remember a few years ago, it may have been since Jim Crow Joe been in. I think it has been since Jim Crow Joe been in office. I think maybe, who knows? Donald Trump could have been in office, but remember when gay people started marrying, but they could not file jointly, and then they wrote legislation specifically for the gay community, for the people that got married. And they could go back and get those resources that they could not get. They had to file separately. But I noticed how when I listen to some of this verbiage in these reparation, I guess I can't think of the word I want to interview. The reparations issue. There seems to be always some kind of ambiguous language that they throw in there. As if they are saying they specifically don't want to deal with us directly. They want to try to wedge in other people, to make sure that we don't get the justice that we are owed. And I just wanted to throw that out there. And so I wanted to and I also want to say to Sister Ashaki. Yeah, I'm in the Atlanta area also, and I know you say you're running against Raphael Warnock, and yes, it's going to take some time to build a team. And I wanted to know, like, when Raphael was running for the full Senate seat, okay, he was at a town hall meeting. I think it was in DeKalb County, and an illegal alien stood up. And I think I may have that. I followed you. I think I may still have that. I'll try to find it and send it to you. I'll have to look at it and see at which point the illegal alien asked the question. And then at the end, a brother, he asked a question about reparation. But when the illegal asked about immigration, he gave a direct and to the point response as to why they should become legal. Said that they would be a workforce for America. And when the brother asked about reparations, he started talking about expanding Medicaid and all this other stuff. So I would like to know how many people are aware of you, and how is your fundraising going? Because this fight to remove him, it may have to get dropped down 30, because he's backed by these white liberals in which it was Dr. Benjamin E. Mays said, he said, our fight in the future, it won't be these racist white folks. It's going to be those liberals and progressives that have Raphael Warnock in their pocket, and he are doing their bidding, because when he ran for this Senate seat, he had on his platform what he was going to do for the illegal, what he was going to do for the basically the gay fight community, because if you're black, all they see you as is a vote, and they're only going to give you benign neglect. And I want to know, how closely are you monitoring what Raphael is doing, so that you can and hopefully you will gain enough momentum to whereby you can force him into a debate, because that's how these people, they end up winning. They don't want to come out and debate, or there may have to be a lot of noise that is made by the community to force him to come out, because he's going to try to stay hidden and act as if you're not him. So if you could just kind of, you don't have to give up all your secrets, if you can just kind of hint at that, I greatly appreciate it. And I land.
Okay, thank you, Reginald, for your question and response. Right now, I haven't been focused on following Warnock yet, but thank you for that information, and that video will be very helpful. Right now, I've just been focused on building a team, finding partnerships to, build up my coffers for the fight against him. So any information that you have would be great. I do have some operatives that I have on various sides, Republican, Democrat, and Independent, that I am working with to get more information. But as far as my stance on immigration, I'm looking to get our borders closed for 10 years. So that within that 10 years, we can remove any and all illegal aliens. So that person that had the question, he would be deported immediately, full stop. You and your family and your children and any children that you had on the soil, because you came here under criminal activity, when we have a path to citizenship. So there's no excuse for these individuals the way they've come here. They've come here ill-gotten. Our government is out of control, and it needs to be wrangled in. So within that 10 years, full moratorium on all HB1 visas. It needs to be done. And our president can actually do it, and they don't need Congress by vote to do it. They don't need a legislative act. They don't need a bill. He can just do it, but he's not doing it, because right now there is replacement immigration. It is in Agenda 2030. It is a part of the UN agenda. It's real. It's no longer a conspiracy theory, because we see what's happening. So, nobody can close their eyes anymore or cover their ears and say this isn't happening to us. It's happening. As far as reparation goes, that's another reason why I'm running for Senate, because I want to make sure that it's codified into law. What we need to do, and this is just where I'm coming from with the Redemption Party, is to win seats at the local level and inject reparation-themed laws and ordinances at the local level so that people are protected. So if you're in Mississippi and you get on the council and you see where there are sundown laws, you need to get that changed within your state. You need to fight your state legislature at your state level and even at your local level, and make sure that in that town you have laws that are protecting citizens of that town. Because we can no longer sit back and wait for the government to save us, because they're not. They're out of control. And as the states, we have the power to govern ourselves, but we need to be in those positions to govern. So no matter if you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, you need to run and get in those seats and make a change. Like I said earlier, we're making changes in the city of Roseland to ensure protections for the citizens in that city. So I'll land there, and I'll open up to any other questions.
All right. Thank you. We got another candidate that's in the house. We got Tariq. He's up in there as well too. Tariq K. Shabazz. Tariq, I don't know. Do you want to speak right now about your platform, or you want to wait It's up to you. Can you hear me? Make sure that he's here. Tariq. Hey Tariq, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes. How you doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
We're doing pretty good. Did you want to speak on your platform now, or do you want to wait? Or
No, for sure. I personally, let me say I appreciate the being afforded the opportunity to speak among so many leaders, scholars, and people who advocate for reparations for Black Americans, descendants of the U.S. chattel slavery. One of which I am the candidate for the United States Senate. This November, I'm running for the state of Ohio. So I've been independent running against Senator Sherrod Brown, who is the incumbent, and there is potentially whoever the Republican the winner of the primary is on March 19th. But this being said, I did want to address that as senator, I absolutely support lineage-based reparations. One of which that must at minimum close the racial wealth gap that was manufactured. This manufactured racial wealth gap must be closed by a minimum of 14 plus trillion dollars. So in that, that's where I put as the very minimum of the cash restitution to the 40 million eligible Black Americans. Right, and as I stated, I support lineage-based. The second aspect of our reparations plan, I'm going to put into this chat for everybody to check out, shabazforsenate.com, to go and take a look at our reparations plan. So that being said, we have 9 sections to it. First section is cash restitution. Second section is our land grants. Third section associated with permanent protective status. One of which that this is important on the basis of delineation and disaggregating Black Americans from Black immigrants, not in a sense to promote xenophobia, but it's to directly address who is the individual groups who were harmed by way of U.S. chattel slavery. And we understand that post 1965 is where you saw the increase of what is the Black immigrants in America due to the 1965 Immigration Act. So therefore, the reparations plan, or from a federal level, should only be directly to address those Black Americans who descend from who were enslaved by way of U.S. chattel slavery. So I hope that provides a little bit of a clarity with respect to my platform. And then on the other areas of it, I would like you to say, again, if you could check out, the things that we're really pushing for on that page. And we need as much support as we can. This is the real grassroots. And if anyone who doesn't know much about me, I would say, if you could, check out what I did in Cuyahoga County when I ran for executive. So I ran for the Cuyahoga County executive in 2022. I ran to represent 1.2 million people, and I would have been the youngest executive in the whole state of Ohio and the only Black executive in the state of Ohio. And Cuyahoga County is the second largest county of the state. I ran during that time as a Democrat, and in that platform, I ran and I created what was I would say a local atonement policy that Dr. Darity and Dr. Lisa Brown has addressed before about these local atonement measures. So in this local atonement measure, I created a policy that was called the Green Line Initiative, and it was to be the antithesis of what redlining did to Cuyahoga County. Specifically, it was going to be a lineage-based policy to address the years of redlining to promote hundreds of millions of dollars to go to promote Black businesses, healthcare, education aspect. And again, I say lineage basis because I want to make sure that our policies are not just grounded in trying to do something for flat Blackness, but to do something to address those who were specifically harmed. Because if we don't address policies that are for those who are specifically harmed, we are undoubtedly wasting the resources, and we're actually causing further harm by promoting a policy that doesn't directly address those who were impacted adversely. If you have any questions for me, I'm always here right now to answer any questions.
okay, well, you can stick around the space. Somebody in here may come up here and ask you a question. We're also I know you just got into the actual broadcast, but we're also talking about the situation in Boston, San Francisco, and St. Louis with the actual reparations situation going on out there as well too. So you're more than welcome to participate in the rest of the discussion as well too. And like I said, I'm sure we'll have some people come up here and ask you some questions as well too. So you said you're running for Senate in the state of Ohio. Am I correct?
That's correct. U.S. Senate, the United States Senate. That's correct.
United States Senate. Okay. All right. And who do you say who was the actual incumbent that you're going up against again? I'm sorry.
Senator Sherrod Brown.
Okay, Sheriff. Okay. Yeah. So we would definitely pull in for you. Now, are you running as a an independent or?
Yes, I'm running as an independent.
Okay. So we got Miss Nichols. She has her own party. You're running as an independent. It seems like a lot of our people now running as independents, or they even running. A lot of them running as Republicans as well too. So and I'm to this point right here. I don't really go by the actual party. I'm going by the actual candidate. So I mean, if you can find a candidate that's worthy of your vote, whether it be Democrat, Republican, Independent, and they're actually talking about the something tangible and something that's going to be beneficial to you, I have no issue with you voting that way as well too. So I'm just pretty much off of, hey, this person is a Democrat, we got to vote for them because this is who Black people vote for. So vote for whoever's going to represent you best is how I feel. I see we got Brother Moku up here as well too, guys, and it's a number of you guys down there in the actual listener section. Feel free to come on up here. Like I said, we got a couple topics going on. We're talking about reparations. We're talking about the apology that San Francisco, and a lot of people feel that San Francisco took that initial step of apologizing. People feel like that is the first step into the actual reparations. Getting reparations done is that you have to get a formal apology. San Francisco apologized. We'll see exactly where this goes at from now. And like I say, the funny thing about the actual cities that we're talking about tonight as well, too, even though I got Cali up in the actual title, I should have put San Francisco. But three of these cities, San Francisco, all three of them are actually headed up by women mayors. Two of them happen to be Black female mayors. One is Asian mayor in Boston, Michelle Wu. So very, very interesting that these actual cities are actually headed up by actual females as well too. And love my folks said those Asians are about to vote London out of office as mayor. That's a possibility. That's very much a possibility. Let me go ahead and kick it to Brother Moku. Brother Moku, what's going on tonight?
Hey, how you doing, Newstoter? How you doing, DJ? Everybody in the space.
What's up?
Redemption Party. What's going on? Definitely been poking interest in Miss Nichols for a minute now. I caught her in a couple of prime spaces. Had a chance to chop it up with her. Very, very pleasant Black woman. Shouts out to FBA Goddess and Tariq also. Thank y'all for y'all service and running. But I think I have two questions. I'm going to try to make them quick and really direct. My first question, and both questions are to all three candidates. But my first question is, and let me know if y'all want to take them one at a time, but I'll say the first one. The first one is, and I asked Miss Nichols this a while back, but you can feel free to reiterate your answer for the space as well. But does any one of the candidates or all have a idea or structured plan on a bill, a compensatory counter racist crime bill, along with an anti-Black racist crime bill, to basically put jail time to these acts of racism, white supremacy, and jail time for the white supremacists. Does anybody have or have been thinking about a plan for that?
Hey, Brother Muko, thank you for your question in the space, and we have spoken before. So within the anti-Black hate crime bill that I've drafted, there are triggers of remedy and triggers for consequence. So it includes both remedy and punishment, because you can't have one without the other. If someone, let's say, is involved in a hate crime and they can prove that it is a hate crime, the level of severity will determine the punishment, right? So it's going to be at minimum incarceration, fine, and then compensation for whatever the harm that was being done. So there will be those triggers within the anti-hate crime bill that I've drafted. I hope that answers your question.
Well, you always enhance it, and I love how you do that. And to any of the other two candidates, if you want to answer the question, that'll be fine. If not, I'll go to my second question.
All right. I don't see anybody. I don't know if Tariq FBA God is going to answer that one, but you can ask your second question. They may answer that, Brother Moku.
Okay. For my second question, I'm a veteran, and I've been practiced on would do the acts of racism, white supremacy by white supremacists in the military. And like many other Black veterans, we have been denied benefits. Me, myself, was diagnosed with an illness more than a decade ago, treated for it, and then just abruptly dropped by the Veterans Administration for treatment after they diagnosed me with this illness. And this has happened to many other Black veterans. What is y'all stances on jail time for the people in the or I'll say the employees or individuals in the federal government that's actually keeping these crimes going on? Personal acts against Black soldiers like myself. Do any of y'all have a plan for that, to address anything like that? Because there's many soldiers that in Desert Storm, and like myself, and many other wars that have not gotten their back pay in situations like that, and there's really no help for it. It seems like there's no help for it right now, as with this current president or the other presidents, the past presidents. So, are y'all looking to tackle any situations as far as that with the Black veterans?
Okay, I'm not trying to just jump in over everybody, but I'm only going to be on here for a short time. But to answer your question, Brother Muko, because that is the Veterans Administration and it is a bureaucracy body attached to the administrative body of the president, they do have a fiduciary duty to make sure that there are no harms against U.S. veterans. However, it ends up happening and it ends up getting covered. So just like some of the other harms done by service members that were, I want to say Camp Mijuno, or, there are other harms that were done, they had to be brought by the soldiers, taken up by the U.S. Senate, and then be brought down onto the Veterans Administration to pay restitution. So it would be a matter of the Senate and the House getting the resolutions done, because unfortunately the Veterans Administration has not, in my opinion, because I've worked with veterans at Grissom Air Force Base, they've wronged veterans, especially Black veterans. So I can speak to it from a personal level that they will run roughshod over Black veterans because they know you guys don't know your rights. And that's the sad part. And when you don't know what you have access to, and then you're denied on top of that, and they're committing crimes because you signed a document stating that they would take care of you if you signed on the dotted line. So it would actually take an act of Congress to go after the Veterans Administration to make them do right. They're not over Congress, they're under Congress. So I hope that answers your question.
I want to just touch on a little bit of that as well. So that was a great synopsis of how you can address partly the issues in the Veteran Administration. So for everybody out there who isn't aware, I'm a Navy vet myself. So I understand a little bit about some of the difficulties associated with claims and compensation, especially pertaining to the disparities associated with Black vets along the lines with their white counterparts or so on and so forth. So this being said, in terms of our reparations plan, where we have the avenue to expand greatly is by way of the third section, is which is the permanent protective status. One of which that will enable us as a government to go further and to highlight these disparities within the armed forces, especially pertaining to the compensation or delayed compensation as well for many of our people who've been in arms, or just the fact that we're oftentimes more denied the actual claim itself, even though you have evidence supporting these individuals, had undergone so many of these issues that develop these disabilities. So, for one fashion, through the reparations plan, yes, we have the avenue to do that, and that's going to be through Section 3 pertaining to permanent protective status. Now, outside of that, the scope of that, pertaining to the oversight of the U.S. Senate and the VA, as Ashaki just stated, and I apologize if I said your name incorrectly, I apologize. What she stated is that, yes, the Senate, the Congress has the actual overall oversight pertaining to the VA because it is a bureaucratic agency. So that being said, this is something that is on our job to, when we walk in on day one, to directly put together legislation beyond the reparations policy as well to hold them accountable. These are violations that we have laws on the book already to actually extract funds and to go get it back on behalf of our Black veterans who's been discriminated upon. And I don't want to take up too much time, but I will touch on this. For all those who understand the woes of the military pertaining to Black Americans in it, Black Americans have served in every war, including fighting to free themselves, one of which we could go back to the 54th Massachusetts Regiment that received $7 while their white counterparts received $13. These people were still under the guise of they're fighting to free themselves, and if they lose or captured, they can get enslaved. So just taking that into account, that we've seen going up to the GI Bill that took away housing for so many Black people, many of our elders from not being able to have that access to the homes, which in that case, that puts us in another potential where we need to address that through the reparations aspect as well, is the lack of uniform compensation funding as well as benefits for the Black American people who serve with respect to their white counterparts. So I'll land it there.
All right. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for thank both of you guys for answering those questions as well, too. Let me go ahead and so we got Brother Moku up here.
Yeah, I had one more question too, and it was going to be real quick.
Okay.
To all three candidates again. I'm sorry if I'm babbling, y'all, but are any if any one of you happen to gain office, will you be demanding a list of white supremacists to give to the victims of racism, white supremacy, to kind of warn us as a, sort of like a map to kind of stay away from these individuals, to look out for these certain individuals that practice racism, white supremacy, and all that?
I'll touch this because I know I have to leave rather soon. So just to address it, without a doubt, I want to address white supremacy in its broadest forms and how it's destroyed and caused so much damage in many of our communities. So without a doubt, from my as a senator to cultivate that position, I know that I can use many ways to address that, one of which is calling on the United States Department of Justice to uniformly enforce the laws on the federal books. And then if not, then we have, again, throughout the United States Senate, we have the ability to curtail and change how these governmental agencies work through policy. And in the Senate, there's some things in the Senate that most people aren't aware of that isn't in the House. In the Senate, before policies move forward, you got to have unanimous consent. So while we in there, let's say her and I are both, when we are both in the Senate, right? We can stonewall when we need to stonewall, and we can put policies in when we need to put policies in. And that's one of the best ways I can put that out there for everyone. So yes, I will be a strong advocate to address white supremacy, but whether it's organizations, individuals, and to make sure that the United States Department of Justice uniformly provides enforcement of the laws on the books, and then we create more laws on the books, especially pertaining to anti-hate crime bills directly to Black Americans. And I hope that answers your question.
And I echo what Tariq said.
All right, thank you. I know you guys. I know Miss Nichols. You said that you had to leave shortly as well too, and I heard Tariq say that as well too. So if you guys we thank you for coming in. If you do have to leave, we understand, but thank you for coming in and discussing your platform, letting everybody know what's going on with you guys in 2028. Miss Nichols, Tariq, when will you be running for the Senate in Ohio? What is it, this year or next year? I'm sorry.
No, this year. So we're still working right now to get our petition to finish to get on the ballot. So if you got any reparationists who are outside of the state, inside of the state of Ohio, you want to help out and assist in any way, shape, or form, we're going to need a lot of help as we get on this ballot and after we get on this ballot to secure this general election win. We're going to need somewhere around 70% of the vote, of the black vote in the state of Ohio. We got 1.1 million black people in the state. So we can do this. We tired of the Democratic Party taking the black votes for granted. Y'all got 90% voter block, and they don't give any policy that matches. And trust me, I tried to do the process of running through the party and moving them to reparations. They're not moving to that. There's no point to even keep on trying to entertain the discussion with them. They are not trying to move to that. Look what they're talking about right now. As much as people can, support, all across the board, regardless of party, some people have support for rights to access. Right now, they're acting like that's the main policy to be addressing right now, where you got the wealth of the black Americans is going to go to zero by 2053. You can't play around with us like that anymore.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I see we got a decent amount of hands up. So let me go ahead. And guys, don't forget to, like I said, we're talking about the actual reparations and three different cities as well. Don't forget that Boston, that you got a reparations people up there that's asking for $15 billion as well, just for the city of Boston as well, too, guys. So let me go ahead and get to Ray. Let me get to Rella, and I get back to you, Original. What's going on, Ray?
What's going on, everybody? So, as a Navy veteran myself, brother Tariq, I just want to say, give you flowers for that. Thank you for your service. I've done five combat deployments myself, from Operation Enduring Freedom to Inherent Resolve. I've done 2 tours on shore. And my question to all of you is, because I'm very pro-gun, I just want to hear y'all stance on what y'all are going to do to protect the Second Amendment rights of Black Americans.
Tariq, is it okay if I take this one?
Absolutely.
Okay, and thank you for your service. So I just want to let everybody here know your Second Amendment will be protected. I definitely see how they use every incident as a means to curtail and try to siphon off the Second Amendment rights, especially for Black individuals. So I'm open to hearing other, options. But one option that I do want to put out there, I do want people to be licensed and trained. But that doesn't mean I want to have a list of people, because obviously if you're licensed, right, you will be on a list. But I want that list to be kept private and covered by the Fourth Amendment. So the only way to access that list would actually be through a warrant, not necessarily the CIA or the NSA being able to just do what they're doing now and overrun the Constitution by what they, by their movement. So I hope that answers your question in short.
No, right.
So can I add something on to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So here's some policies I think would definitely help, and I would like to see you guys and girls add this to your platform. So the first thing I would love to see would be some type of national reciprocity. No gun-free zones except for like federal buildings, courthouses, Air Force prisons, military bases, etc. Putting some money into researching the solution to the mental health problem in this country, and if there's any connection to psychotropic drugs, and mass shootings, see about getting some type of time off for firearm training, especially for people that live in these low-income areas, since they tend to live, while the high crime is in. Teaching firearm safety in all schools, having metal detectors and armed guards at all schools to protect our kids, investing into evidence-based, community-driven strategies like group violence intervention, relationship-based street outreach, hospital-based violence intervention programs, and lastly, actually get gun owners, include us into any discussions, about firearm policies.
All righty.
Do you want me to touch on that now or no?
You go ahead, Tariq.
Okay, so first I would say to answer the first question, I would say that I have a pretty good track record with respect to gun rights. I do support in terms of what is universal background checks in general, but I don't have a level of a policy that is going towards taking away from firearms from people, anyone, especially pertaining to the Black American people. If you go look back into when you first saw the gun rights change in the state of California, we know that historically that only happened because the Black Panthers went down to Sacramento, right? So with respect to moving forward, firearms, I believe that it's a fundamental right, absolutely a Second Amendment. So I'm not one of the politicians who's going to work to try to take away people's access to firearms. Again, when we talk about evidence-based solutions, that's actually referring to what is the problem first, and then how do we address it, right? So first problem is we need to look at what's happening. Number of deaths associated by gun shots are via suicide. So particularly in those areas, I support heavily expanding mental health assistance by way of what is called Medicare for All, which expands greatly the Medicare medical coverage of all Americans in the nation, which will then actually be able to assist in alleviating the financial burdens of seeking out mental health treatment, as well as just the ability to have the overall access. On a second note, when it comes to the amount of gun violence associated with young Black males, which is one of the highest prevalence rates of deaths, this is an area where I say again, where you have to address the insecurities. Is it guns that's the massive issue, or is the issue of where we need to address the insecurities of housing, healthcare, lack of economic opportunity, and things of just of destruction towards the family from years of public policies prior. So in that sense, it is directly removing those insecurities and addressing on the side of treating it. What you brought up is about the trauma side. So yes, vastly expanding trauma diversion related centers. But overall, again, the most important aspect of it is when we see about our young Black males dying in our streets, we have to remove those conditions. So that's the first thing on the board is within reparations, we can vastly expand and remove those conditions by promoting these policies in those communities which are already there.
I have one issue, Newstoter. I normally don't jump off my mic. The only problem I have with what you said is when you brought up universal background checks, because the only way that you can enforce a universal background check is to have a national gun registry of all the guns. And historically, that is shown that once the government has a registry of all the guns, they use that to then to disarm the people.
And that's what I don't want. I want training, but I don't want the overriding of the Fourth Amendment. And that's what the government did. And the government's completely out of line doing that with the registry. So I understand your concern about that, right? But everything that Tariq said, I'm definitely on board with. But the one thing I would like to add to it, because I know that the issue was brought up with the SRIs, medications. Now that comes back to the FDA and the chemicals that are actually been put into our food supply and the drug supply. Because what they've done is they've created the problem to solve it. So there are a lot of chemicals in our food supply that are banned in other countries because they do lead to mental health issues. So as the senator, I would be looking at actually investigating the FDA and what they've approved and not approved. Being a paralegal, some of my background, I've worked with medical devices and also medical harms caused by chemicals within pharmaceutical drugs. And the way the FDA works is, even if they have something out there that's killing people, do is just rubber stamp a letter that says, well, you can get some of it off of the market, but if you don't get all of it, that's okay, because you're going to put something out there that is going to replace it and make it better. And usually it doesn't, and it's just a vicious cycle. So it's really a combination of not just the firearms, but it also comes back to our food supply.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I really didn't get the question answered though. I'm asking, so how do you plan on, since both of you are for universal background checks, how do y'all plan on enforcing that without a national gun registry?
Like I said, without having a national, you don't need a national gun registry if somebody is just applying for a license in their state. What would be put in place and what we would have to do at the federal level is to state that we will not have a national gun registry that would infringe on Second Amendment rights. That would have to be codified into law and enforced. Does that make sense? Because it is a violation of the Second Amendment to have a registry that would violate rights. Because here's the thing, you can always be given more than the law, but not less. By putting a registry into place, that's giving you less than the law. Because that's assuming you're a criminal and that we have to track your information. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I hope everybody can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay.
No problem. Thank you.
I'm just like, I hope that makes sense. You can always be given more. Like, for example, if somebody's going to record you in the state of California, you have to disclose that you're recording them. But in the state of Georgia, you don't. That's giving somebody more than the law and not less. So that's just for an example.
Thank you. We go ahead and get to Rella. Rella, go ahead and unmute your mic. How you doing?
How you doing, Newstoter? Hey, FBA Goddess, and DJ, and shout out to the room. I'm so glad to see this beautiful woman on stage. I remember when she was running for president, and we could not get traction enough. And I'm so glad that you are still in the fight. I guess all my questions, I'm going to try to keep them kind of concise because I'd rather people actually get to a point where they start to join your campaigns. And I was hoping Sariq would stay up here long enough for me to actually ask my questions. But it's going to be important that we get involved with the campaigns as much as we can and help the candidates to get traction and exposure, not just on this platform, but also utilizing other platforms and definitely even pushing through Funded Socially so that we can also start to build at the same time. Nepotism has to be our the name of the game. And I do believe as Americans, we deserve this position. So with that being said, my first question to the candidates would be, would you start to develop relationships with other candidates prior to bipartisan getting into office, but would you actually develop relationships in regards to your policies to work in maybe a state-to-state, economic cycle that would actually help to end homelessness across the country? The Republicans and the Democratic Party have not addressed that, and that has been a big deal, especially with Black Americans being displaced and communities pretty much being pushed out by other groups. The FBI has documented mafia groups like the Mexican Mafia, Albanian Mafia, and others who have attacked Black American communities. And so I would be honestly looking for something along the lines of the reparative piece and addressing that, and also possibly even if need be, bringing some sort of maybe sanctions on other politicians who do not address American harms done by immigrants. The second question, I'll just try to get them all out so you guys can ask them. The second question, of course, is how to get involved with your campaigns. And then the third question was having to do with medical. Yes, medical is would you be willing to pass legislation to lift the what is it called when you have a there's like a certain time frame for you to file complaints when medical harms have been done? Would you pass a legislation law that actually protects reproduction or any type of medical harms that have been done to Black Americans? And I think that is my last question. And also, I wanted to shout out Ms. Valda Jones Porter in Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware. I posted her information in the Purple Pill. If you three candidates would also like to look at her campaign in Delaware and would love to actually reach out to her as well. And that's all I got for now.
Okay, I'm going to have to answer this because I got to get going. But to start with your last question of, I want to say, reproductive rights, you were looking at the statute of limitations. I would actually have to see the laws currently on the books as where they stand, because they can be tricky because sometimes they're at the federal level, but then other times they're at the state level. And the federal government in certain circumstances cannot interfere at the state level. So it would have to be something that was federalized for protections. So that was one. The other question that you had asked, I will let everybody know, please support the Redemption Party, USARedemptionParty.com. It's where you can leave a donation or sign up to volunteer or letter so you can see community down in Roseland, which leads me to your first question. And what we are looking to do in the city of Roseland is make it a blueprint for other small communities that are predominantly Black or not, to make sure that there are protections and that we look at ending the homeless cycle. The treasurer that's there, his name is Shane Inez Williams. He's also my co-founder of the party, and he's also the chairman of the party. And he has an organization called Bender, which looks into stopping the systemic homelessness that especially Black Americans face in this country. So he's looking to do this at the local level because right now the federal government, they haven't done enough, and they've proven to us that they're not. So we need to take our states and our city back. So that is the focus of the Redemption Party. I'm running at the federal level so I can do the best I can to make sure that we stop these harms for perpetuating the way they have. So I hope that answers your question. I hope I got all of it and I didn't miss anything. Let me know.
Yes. And then one more, just one more. Would you also be willing to present or introduce legislation that also would block other state representatives from denying reparative justice to Black Americans? That is my last question.
Yes. So just know the reason why things had stopped at the state level is because the federal government did not enforce it, and they should have. Because when the Emancipation Proclamation was done, there were no protections put in place. They just assumed that people were just going to treat slaves like everybody else, which was dumb on its face. And so what they did, for adding further insult to injury, they did not step in to protect those at the state level and to tell the states, okay, these individuals are protected and there will be consequences if you cause them harm. So that has to be written into law, and that is included in my anti-Black hate crime bill. It has to be there specifically because there were specific harms done. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And with that, I do apologize, but I have to get going. But hopefully there will be another space that I can participate in and answer all the questions here. And like I said, please reach out to the USARedemptionParty.com, USARedemptionParty.com. And right now I'm running. The other three candidates, they already won their seats, and I'm also serving as the legislative liaison for the city of Roseland. So I'll be able to actually report back to you guys the strides that we are making in the city in real time.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. We definitely appreciate you coming on, and best of luck to you. And we'll definitely, if we have any more future spaces, political spaces, we'll be sure to let you know. We go ahead and get to original. Original, go ahead and unmute your mic. You got it.
Yeah, I was trying to get to her before she left, but I see she's disconnecting now. But what I wanted to say, and I think we should express to all of our people that are going to run for public office to look at what happened to Eric Cantor. Eric Cantor, and I think what has to happen, because what I think some people that want to run and they kind of run on this "I'm going to be nice" platform. Oh no, you can't be nice, because see what happened to Eric Cantor. He a teabagger ran against him. Eric had like millions of dollars in his war chest to fight with. I forget how many years he had been in Congress, but this teabagger only raised like a $300,000 and beat Eric Cantor. And what happened is because Eric wasn't, well, you know the word the teabaggers well, they're all crazy, majority of them, they're all crazy. But he wasn't doing what the teabaggers wanted. So this guy, he appealed to the teabaggers, and they beat Eric Cantor. And I'm looking at what a lot of the black elected officials have done, and I think we should not leave any stone unturned, because when you look at how the black vote has been used to benefit every demographic except for us, and these people, some of them, like this old witch Maxine Waters, she's been in Congress for over 30 years. And look at how bad her district is in California. That right there is a damn shame. And we should not have people representing us like that. And I think it's going to take a lot of us. I'll see what I can do, to help Akashi, here in Georgia, because looking at Raphael's platform and what he has done, he's done nothing to benefit black folks. If you raised the issue, because how many of you all remember when Cory Booker was running for the White House and Charlemagne was interviewing him, and Charlemagne asked Cory, he said, "What is your platform for black people?" And Cory initially laughed, he chuckled, and Charlemagne kept looking at him, and then Cory saw he was in trouble at that point, and so he defaulted to their propaganda when he said, "Well, I represent all people." Yes, you do. You are a U.S. senator, and you represent, although you come from a specific state, but your vote represents all the people in America. So they come with that propaganda because they do not want to say anything regarding black America, U.S. descendants of enslaved people. They don't want to say anything about that. And so I think it is crucial that we have people, and even if they don't win, but we put up a good enough fight to let these people know, business as usual, we don't care who is paying you, but business as usual is dead. Because if you keep going down that pathway, no, we're gonna keep giving you the business. And I think that's what we have to do. From here going out, because enough of this is enough. And so I just want to say that. So hopefully there'll be another. Like I said, I follow Akashi. Hopefully she'll follow me back, and I'll try to share as much information as I can with her and see if I may be able to, fit in with her campaign somehow. But I think that's what has to be done, and that people need to understand is that we're at war, and unfortunately we're at war with our own people. Because look at what happened in Congress. You all saw when what's the boy name? The one that just left. The one that the speaker that kicked out, Kevin.
Oh, yeah, Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah, Kevin McCarthy. Now check this out. 8 white Republicans held that up for 14 to 15 votes, and we got over over 50 people in the House, black folks in the House, and they ain't trying to hold nothing up to get us some resources. This is insane. This is, it's beyond insane. How these other people, call them crazy or whatever you want, but they get their message out there and they get attention. But we ain't trying to go down their road. Yeah, we want to get that attention, but our attention is going to be legitimate. But because those some crazy white folks, I tell you. But it's just something that has to be done, whereby we're going to have to expose these people like Raphael Warnock and expose. People need to start exposing. I think there is a guy that's running against Maxine Waters, and if everybody noticed that Sheila Jackson Lee, she did not win the mayor of Houston, so now she's trying to run again to be elected as Congress for that district. If you know anybody in Houston, please tell them to do what they can to make sure that she does not return to Congress. Because it's people like her, these people have sat on their butts for 20, 30 years and haven't done anything but going along with what the Democrats wanted. So we need some different blood in there, and we need to get some young people so that they can stand up and show these people exactly what is required to represent black folks without being ashamed to say, I represent black people. Yes, my vote is cast for all people, but I come there specifically to represent black people too. And those are the kind of people we have to start putting in there, because see, Raphael, he ran this propaganda on black folks here about him being the head preacher at the church where Dr. King preached. Well, that was poor propaganda, because see, Dr. King would represent us. He hasn't done anything. And I'm proud to say that I didn't vote for him. I did not vote for him. Him nor John Ossoff. I didn't vote for either one of them. So I just wanted to say that. I don't want to take up too much time. I'm going to land. But I just want people to understand. And please, if you know anybody in Houston, please call them and tell them to get the word out to make sure that Sheila Jackson Lee lose. And I'm going to say this because, see, y'all know this lady named Donna Edwards. See, Donna Edwards out of Maryland. And I've said this before. She was a congressperson for Maryland for years. Then she decided to run for U.S. Senate. And I can't think of the white guy she ran against. But apparently she had done the black people in that area so badly, they voted for the white guy. And then she tried to run for like a county commission seat. And they're like, she lost that too. They gave her the message, we no longer want stupidity like you. You're no longer wanted. Go find something else to do. So now you see her every now and then, she's on MSNBC. So these are the tactics we're going to have to take, because see, we already know they got these white progressives and liberals behind them. And trust me, they don't fight fair, and I don't fight fair. So you come at me, I come at you. If that's because, see, we got their record on our side. See, that's what they forget. They got this negative record of not doing anything for black folks. So let the fight begin, and I'll land.
All right, thank you, Original. I see we got a new speaker up here. I know you don't have your hand raised, but Royal Bloodline, did you want to say something?
Oh yeah, man, I do. I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak. What I would say to the brother, and I appreciate everything he had to say, but your congressman is really useless, man, unless you're dealing with local issues. Now, I don't know I know the governor of Texas right now is Governor Abbott, but I don't know if Texas has had a black governor before. And that's what you really need to be fighting for, because then if you're the governor, then you have, or even raise your children to be a governor, or you need a black governor in Texas. And then you have executive order power, just like the president has. You control the National Guard. There's a lot of things you can do. You control the police union, everything. So we need to start running more candidates as governors that we trust, because Congress and the Senate means nothing if you got a governor. Governor just veto it. And so my name is Emmanuel Smith, Manny Smith for governor of California, the 5th largest economy in the world. And that's what I'm doing. I'm running for governor. We're having a Black Cohesion Telethon right now. And I'm glad I got a chance to get on the call, and I appreciate the brother. And I think I'm on Newstoter. I'm not positive, and I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but I've heard a lot of good things about Newstoter, and so I'm thankful that you gave me a chance to speak. And that's all I got to say. We need more governors, and I got a Zoom-a-thon. I'll put it in the chat, a telethon for Black Cohesion. There's 50 million of us, 47.9 on the 2022 census. And that's 50 million now. Times $5 is $250 million per month. That's 200 new Black millionaires per month. That's $50 million to go to people for gathering those contracts to make people. And that's what we're doing the telethon about right now. If you're serious, and you're ready to get active, you don't want to wait on Congress, you don't want to wait on anybody else but yourself and get active. It's less than a half a cent an hour. It's 13 cents a day. And I mean, we can do this. Right now, we're looking for the first 1 million people to actually really get active and do this thing, and we're going to take off from there. The reason why I'm running for governor of the state of California is because if Black people don't come together and do what I'm speaking of right now, there are actually 43 million Californians, and I'm pretty sure that I can get that passed where the clause for reparations is $5 a month, because we make so much money here. And the average white person isn't even finished sweat $5 a month. Anyway, I yield, I land my plane, and I'd appreciate any comments or feedback. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Real quick, what's your political affiliation? Are you an independent, Democrat, Republican?
Oh, no. I am in the belief that if I'm in America, I'm an American. And if I'm in America, I am in a republic. And so I'm a Republican, the party that my ancestors founded. Now, I believe a lot of these white people are Republican in name only, the real rhinos. My family, my ancestors, we founded the Republican Party. They have hijacked it and stole it like they stole hip-hop and stole everything else. But that party is mine. Plan on taking it back, and I plan on really running a campaign that is for us, we the people. We started the Republican Party because everybody was supposed to have our fair share. It was a commonwealth. It was a piece of the wealth. So if you're 2% of the population, you get 2% of the wealth. Make something happen with it. We were 13% of the population, but we only got 0.5% of the wealth. That is the disparity. Communism is fine as long as it's in male sports and college sports, and the basketball players bring in all the money. The Black basketball players bring in all the money. But, you know, the lacrosse team still gets their money. They still get their scholarships. Communism is fine there. But that's the difference between being in a republic and being in a democracy, where if it's 50 of us and 26 of us vote to do something, 24 of us vote not to do something, the 26 win, and we're going to do what the 26 do with no regard for the 24. In a republic, the 24 just get represented at the rate they were, 48%, and the other people get represented at 52%, and then we see who can make the best plan from that. So yeah, I would say I'm an American first, Black American first, and I'm also live in a republic, so I'm a Republican.
All right, appreciate that. Thank you for coming up tonight. I see we got Rella back up.
Thank you.
Anybody else that wants to speak tonight, too, guys, just raise your hand. We're not going to be in here long tonight. Let me go ahead and get back to Rella. Rella, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Thank you, Newstoter. So I just want to definitely just lay that also, and I agree with Royal Blood. We were 13% of the population prior to Reconstruction, and considering that we're in 2024, they're still trying to put us at 13%. I would definitely love to see some legislation actually demand that agencies across states actually do a true recount, one that is not connected to the the 10-year census or the 2 or 5 year census. I think we need one maybe possibly within the 2 years or within the next few years prior to the 10-year moratorium that was proposed. so that way we actually have a true count of what our population size is across the United States. Also, I would love to hear from, again, more candidates definitely speaking about the Black Majority State movement or their consensus on it and what they believe would actually help to provide vital support in us actually having either having land and representation across state legislation, representatives, both state and federal. So, yep, that's all I got.
Let me ask you a question real quick, Relly, because like I said, we do have some reparation topics up in the actual broadcast tonight as well too. What's your opinion about the people in Boston asking for $15 billion in reparation for slavery and all of the racial discrimination that has taken place in that city?
I think it's great. If the Ukrainians can get 140 something billion, I do believe that the American people deserve to have resources that would actually fully repair them to their full extent. I think we oftentimes get people who are afraid to demand from our American government the things that foreign nations and people who are coming to the United States and demanding that we don't actually show up and speak up enough. So I think it's amazing. And I do believe that the shortfall sometimes is the fact that, again, representation in legislation are hurdle if office that have our best interest as not just descendants but as Americans. And I do believe that reparations on local, state, and federal must be given. And because of the different the different laws and how they're implemented on local, state, and federal, and sometimes township, they should be enforced. They should be able to be enforced by the two parallel governments, which is state and federal, so that way the local and townships don't have a choice but to make sure that people are repaired. So, compartmentalized, but making sure that we are actually. I love Tariq said it best. There are laws that are on the books that are not being enforced, but there's also laws on the books that need to be amended or updated so that they actually are speaking to the Americans that are in need of the repair. The one thing you do not hear a lot of times, other groups like white Americans or other groups of white Americans, is them talking about them needing repair because they hold a lot of the resources and they hold a lot of the positions in when it comes to economics, housing, and the likes. So they're not going to call for something that they don't need, even so much so even ignoring poor whites. So I think that it is our duty to know what we actually need, not necessarily comparing ourselves to other people, but actually know what we need. Know the laws in your state, local, and federal, and then and make sure that we are asking and we're demanding that they be enforced. And if not, it is a show of treason for our government to ignore us. So.
One more quick question before you leave, because I know you're from California. What was your thoughts on San Francisco actually apologizing for systematic discrimination against the Black residents who lived there throughout the years?
Word salad is that an apology needs to come. It's like an abusive person saying, "I apologize for harming you," but they're going to look at you in destitution and ignore you. No, you apologize, and your responsibility is reciprocity. So I can take your apology on paper, and in legislation, I would like the repair to justice that is due. And that to me is a true apology. because they apologized to the Japanese after the United States responded to the attack on Pearl Harbor. However, after the commissions were done, cash payments were made, and an apology publicly was done by not just the president, but at the time, the state officials. So I'll take that, and I'll also take the monetary repair along with any type of resources that go along with that. That should be implemented until the people or the descendants in the state of California or San Francisco primarily are repaired. So that's how I feel like that.
All right. Well, thank you, Rella. You give a shout out to Goddess Michelle. Thank you for your contribution. Shannon, I think I thanked you earlier, but if not, I want to go ahead and thank you again. I forgot, but shout out to both you ladies. DJ, what's up? I see you back in the space. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's good? Shout out to the room. Everybody share the room out. Make sure you support Newstoter, Cash App, and the Jumbotron. So, Roy, what's your thoughts on those Mexican gangbangers jumping on that young black man out there in California, man? So, you running as a candidate. What are your, your advocacies to protect Black Americans in California?
I'm not sure. Roy,
in California, I thought he said Texas.
He's running for California, but he was saying Texas needs a black governor. Hey, Royal Bloodline, are you there?
Probably could have got a phone call or something, but it's okay.
Yeah, because he was here, but who knows? He could be in the Matrix as well too. It's a pretty good question. Hopefully, we can get him back in here, but I'm not sure. Like you said, he could be on a phone call, or he could be trapped in the Matrix as well too. So hopefully, we can get the brother to come back up here. I know he was talking about Texas needing a black governor. Good luck with that. Good luck on Texas actually electing a black governor. Matter of fact, I remember Texas had a female governor back in the was that the early 90s? Was that Ann Richards they had? I think
Senator Barbara Jordan.
No, I'm saying governor though. I'm saying governor.
No.
Her name was Ann Richards.
Yeah, Ann Richards was a
governor?
No, Ann Richards was a governor of Texas back in the 90s. Now, I think she might have been just a one-term governor, but she was a governor there in the 90s. But in terms of black governors in Texas, with the actual the population, everything there, I'd be shocked to see an actual black person actually holding being the actual governor of Texas. Let's not forget, we've only had a handful of governors, black governors, in the history of this country as well too. So I mean, I know we have Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland right now, but we haven't had a whole bunch of governors. Well, we maybe had since Reconstruction, maybe 3-4 black governors in the history of this country. So
but Newstoter, Ann Richards that's a black lady?
No, Ann Richards was white. No, she was white.
Right,
no. I say they haven't had any black governors. I said, but they only had. I think they had one.
And that's why the governors hold all the power. Quiet as cat.
But do you actually think a black person could actually be the governor of Texas though?
Damn straight. I think Texas has a huge black population. You get a few white people with you, shit. You win that shit pretty fucking easy.
Hey, try not to curse. Hey, Roy, try not to curse.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I apologize for that, man. I apologize for that. Like I said, I just speak the truth. I'm real blunt, and I keep it real. But yeah, I gotta understand I'm on Twitter, so I apologize for that. Please excuse me.
No issue. DJ actually asked you a question. WPI, he asked you a question about what would you do? What was that question about the Mexicans out there? You were saying in California, DJ. Ask him again.
He was asking the domestic terrorist attack that took place on the 16-year-old teen from Hawthorne. Shout out to Los Angeles. Inglewood and Hawthorne are right next to each other. Those are my old stomping grounds. So, I believe he went to Lusinger. I'm not sure. I have to look it up again. But what would you do to address the domestic terrorism that actually is taking place. Also, I don't know if you heard about the Mexican mafia, the head guy that they quote unquote claim he was arrested. But what would you do to address those issues?
Well, the first thing, to be honest with you, I like as many governors have said in the past, is the economy stupid? So the first thing I would do is, make sure that everybody had what they needed. Then as far as the surveillance state, as it is right now, I would completely change that to make sure that first priority with the surveillance state was no murders in the state of California. So we would monitor that more than we would monitor pretty much anything else. No murders, no rapes, just violent crime. And definitely the border will be monitored with much surveillance. The other thing I would do for you as a citizen of the state of California is to make sure that I was surveilled 20 hours a day. I'd have 4 hours of privacy for myself, and I would make sure that the Congress and the Senate had the same. Because if the citizen is going to be surveilled, then the Congress is the guinea pig for the citizens. They represent you, so they should be surveilled first. If you're going to be drug tested, so should they. So they don't get extra perks. What they do is serve you. And so I would make sure that you could see that I'm working 20 hours a day. And 4 hours I'd have myself, or for things that are of national interest or security, things like that, I'd have 4 hours to myself to take care of those things. But other than that, I wasn't putting coke or being overly an alcoholic or, just a proverbial pervert. You would know that I was actually doing my job because you'd be able to see it for 20 hours a day. So that would be my answer. The first thing I would do is make sure that there are no murders, there are no rapes, and that we show citizens that surveillance can be used in a way that it isn't just meant to entrap you, to hurt you, and to kill you, but it's actually used to make sure that you are not killed, that you are not hurt, and that you are in good safety.
So last question, I'm sorry,
yes,
original. Would you be willing to entertain, because other countries, when you commit crimes in other countries, they look at even the death penalty or some sort of higher penalties if you are committing crimes against a nation's citizen. Would you entertain something like that in the state of California, seeing as that domestic terrorism has...
Yes, ma'am. In the state of California, to be honest with you, ma'am, and with all due respect, I didn't mean to cut you off. Is your question finished?
No, you're fine. You're fine, because I know California, they got rid of the death penalty, but I'm saying,
yes.
Would I
entertain that?
Right, not the death penalty, but something higher, a higher penalty in regards to like deportation or something that along the lines of that one.
Well, I am strictly, to be totally honest for you, deportation. So that is not just to say Mexicans back to Mexico or Venezuelans back to Venezuela. But if you commit a crime in California, like on the lines of, murder, rape, those things, punishable by death, I'm all for that. But I want a solid case because too many people have been set up by that. So I actually do want real cases that are solid cases that, they have the DNA and they have, variable cause to make sure that this is actually true and not just media hype. But those cases, I'm not really for the death penalty per se, but in cases like that, I wouldn't be against it. That'll be something I would leave to Congress, to be totally honest with you, and to the people. As far as just making sure that a person who came across the border illegally, my opinion on that is, I would say the opinion of most Black Americans is that they, and really honestly, maybe it's not, because I believe they're stealing more than, your jobs and your money. I believe they're stealing your heartbeats. Every time you have to wait in the supermarket line another 5 minutes, how many heartbeats is that? Every time you got to wait when you go to the DMV, how many heartbeats is that? And they're stealing a piece of your life because they shouldn't be in that line. if you get in a scuffle with that person, you know. And I don't mind the average immigrant. I just don't want someone that's walking around here like they're the Jesse James and the baddest thing since sliced bread, and they're trying to pick fights and do things. You know, go get a job and do what you want to do, but don't come at a citizen that's already here and they're trying to work here, and then you get in a scuffle with them, then they go to jail because you were here illegally. I think that's without cause. I don't think a citizen should be subject to a penalty for someone who was here illegally. I don't think that's fair to the citizen, and I think that's a failure of government. I'll yield for questions because I may not have answered your question completely.
No, you did.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me ask you one more then, since he answered, I guess. So obviously, I really wanted to know your thoughts of the young man getting beat up by the gangbangers out there in California. So that was my argument right there, or question rather, and it was something else you just said towards the end right there.
I think Rella just asked him that.
Yeah, I heard you on the surveillance. I don't want California, let alone America, to be a surveillance state like China. So,
well, first off, I definitely don't. Then, if you heard my answer about surveillance, I said why surveillance would be good in the situation. I heard you on that one.
Yeah, I heard you on that one, but that's still kind of like, you know, a surveillance state. You know what I mean? You know, enemy of the state.
It's already a surveillance state.
Really, it already is.
It's already a surveillance state, to be honest.
If I'm looking for murderers and rapists, I will take that surveillance state. And I'm thinking anybody that's against that, they got a problem. Because I don't want murder. I don't want rapists around my town. I really don't want perverts. Those people, I will surveil.
When I say surveillance state, though, I'm talking about I don't want the technology being used to just track citizens on the daily, just to watch them. And that's what China does. You see what I'm saying?
With all due respect, China does not surveil the president. What I said was, I'm the first one that's 20 hours surveillance.
I heard what you said.
So you know I'm doing my job.
I heard what you said.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I heard what you said. But that does not mean that technology cannot be used in the wrong way. You see what I'm saying? You know,
No, I agree with you completely. I mean, I got to fight for that. As a governor, I got to fight to make sure that if you elect me into this position, that I fight for that. That I make sure that doesn't happen. And then we elect people to the Congress to make sure it's happening. But I'm not fighting for murderers, rapists, or perverts. I'm not fighting.
No one said you were. Hold on, boss. No one said you were. And that's what I'm actually saying. The same thing, too. I'm fighting for the citizens' privacy because you have a right to privacy in this country.
You do. That's very true, brother. That's very true. Constitution comes first.
Right, there you go. So,
somebody else said on the line. Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have you ever really paid attention to China and how they surveil their people? So it's
way worse. Well, to be honest with you, they have a social credit score in China, and to a certain extent, I mean, I kind of would appreciate a social credit score rather than the way America does it now, because they got the same thing here. You just don't know the number. But at least if you knew the number, maybe you could work to do better to get up. But in China, they tell you what it is. Now, that doesn't mean that I approve of it. That I'm just telling you that system, the way we run it here, is just clandestine, which means undercover. And the way they run it is out in front of their people's faces. So we have the same thing. A social credit score isn't much different than your credit score. Have you paid your bills? Have you done this? Have you done that? Have you skipped out on rent? Have you fled a state? You know, so, and to be honest with you, brother, listen, if you do a crime in whatever state you're from, I don't know where you're from, but let's call it Kentucky.
I'm from New Jersey.
And you flee, New Jersey's, cool. And you flee to Kentucky. Every law enforcement agency and every camera in America is going to be looking for you.
Right.
In Kentucky. Why isn't it the same way to help the citizen succeed in this world? We'll come together to catch somebody and to put them in jail so a taxpayer can pay them. But we won't come together to make sure that we are creative, that our youngsters have a platform to make new things and to build new things. And I say this a lot to people. The greatest time in American history was 1865 to to 1965. There were more inventions in that time than there has ever been throughout history. And what happened right then? We were free. And even though we didn't have a place to stay, we didn't have much, we started to invent this and we started to invent that. We went places, we found gold, we did all kind of things because we were free. And those years, those 100 years, they're the greatest years we'll ever have in America. And because we had 1865 to 1965, I lived through the 80s, which was the greatest time any Black American can ever say they lived on planet Earth. And so I'm proud to be an American, and I'm proud to be somebody that was, bred from my ancestors forever. That's something that can never die in me. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, for sure on that. So now with that being said, if you were to become like, say you was running for president or whatever the case be.
I'm not running for president. I'm running for president. The president doesn't have enough power.
I know that, boss. So hear me out, man. It's not
yes,
to trip you up, man. So you don't have to rebuttal anything wrong to me. I'm just saying, if you were running for president, would you, considering you want surveillance things done around the state of California, so as a person that will have some type of power legislatively, executively, to say, hey, well, why don't we just do this around the country? So
I don't consider the possibility of things I wouldn't do. I don't worry about
boss man.
Okay.
I'm not.
You said if I was running.
Hey, real quick, Roy. Let the co-host ask you a question, and then you go ahead and yeah.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Right. So, would you pardon Julian Assange? That's the question. If you were president, considering if you know who he is.
If I know who he is. If I was governor, I would pardon Julian Assange. And if I was governor, I would also pardon my other brother, Edward Snowden. So they were estuary in the state of California. I need people like that. People that are going to expose real. Yes. White boys that I can get down with.
Hey, DJ, hold it down real quick for me, all right?
Well, you got it, dog. So, that's the reason why I was asking those questions, because I do technology for a living, and I see how this pretty much technology is going to be used to target us, because it's already targeted.
It is.
The AI.
It is already. You're right.
So with that being said, even if you were to get that technology up online and running in California, who's going to be controlling that? You know what I mean?
That's a big problem. That's a big problem. But I'll tell you something else that I plan to do, because, well, first off, I plan on pretty much emptying the prisons, and I don't want to tell you how I plan on doing that without a single prison guard losing a job. But I don't want to explain my whole platform to you right now, because that'll be up next week for somebody. But as far as what you're saying, as far as the prisons and trying to make sure that people are taken care of, listen, as governor, my job is to make sure that the citizen just has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's really my only job, and that's pretty much what I plan to do. So I plan to make 3,000 jobs immediately, not phone answering service, not somebody in India, but homegrown Californian jobs to answer the phone and for the citizen to call the governor's office and have their grievances heard. And I think that's going to change a lot, because people will actually be able to feel like they can get through and talk to somebody. And somebody will get that message to me, and then we'll figure out what we can do. Now, there's going to be a lot of calls that are just BS. That's just how it is, sometimes. And we gotta whittle through those. But I think with a good, like yourself, like you're politically motivated. We need more people like that. And as long as we can get people like you who are involved, like I said, the Edward Snowdens, the Julian Assanges, they'd have a sanctuary city like the illegal immigrants have in California. They'd be safe here.
Right, for sure on that one. So let's get around to the hands real quick. I wasn't sure who's next. Trouble or the Mrs. Shockey, you want to go? I know, Rich, you got your hands up. Whoever wants to speak, I guess. I wasn't sure who was next.
Thank you for the time, gentlemen.
For sure.
Oh, Trouble, is it okay if I jump in real quick?
Go ahead, darling.
Okay. Yes. So what I wanted to do was speak to the surveillance state that Royal was discussing. I actually lived in the city of Irvine, which is in California, for a little while, and people said, I called it a Stepford city, basically because the police, they looked out for everyone. So you didn't need a social credit score to be safe in the city. That was their job. It was their job to make sure that if somebody was a predator and they found them and saw them on camera, they were there within 2 minutes because that person was in the vicinity of children at school. So you can have what people would call a surveillance state without impeding upon the rights of the citizens in that state. Because like I said, I've already lived it. So it can be done. It's actually a lot better when you do have the cameras around the city and you don't necessarily see patrol cars out everywhere. But when you do see them, you know that they are there for a reason, that they know that there's a crime going on or they're, going to a call. There were also very good community officers. I had a police officer come to my house one time and say, hey, I noticed your daughter, she's been hanging out over here and she might have an issue. But that police officer didn't have to do that, but he did. He took the time out to make sure that he had that community relationship. And I knew that somebody was looking out for my child's best interest. So you can have it without it being a social credit score type issue. So I just wanted to throw that in and I'll end there.
Right. So with that being said, on the technology and the surveillance, this is the other narrative where I'm trying to push, where it's like, who has control over the functions of this? You see what I'm saying? So I got loss prevention technology. So this is why I'm asking this question. So, hey, if some of these loss prevention dudes is letting a man's come into the store, hey, yeah, go ahead, rack up, put that in your pocket. I ain't seen nothing. What happens when the police do it for real? And yeah, go ahead and rob this or pop that person and cover up this crime and do yada da. How do you persecute that, basically? Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's the flip side of it, right? Because you have to have honest people doing an honest job, but you're always going to have corruption. So you definitely have to have, I want to say, an outside counsel outside of the police department to monitor and hold others accountable. I mean, because people are always going to be evil, unfortunately, but you have to do the best you can with what you have. But keeping people safe should be right. People should be safe first and foremost. I think there was just a lot of pride in the city of Irvine that they had the safest city in America, right? And so when people actually want to be safe and they know that they want to do a good job for the people there, and they were really quick to prosecute somebody and fire them immediately, that did violate the law, even if they were in a police position. And they had a few police officers arrested while I was there, while I lived in the city. So they weren't there to try to cover up for each other. It was like, oh no, there was a zero tolerance policy in that city for the officers that were there as well.
Hey, I'm back, DJ. Just to let you know, I'm back.
For sure. Yeah, and I just want to say that's what we need, folks that are, just going to come in every day with a smile on their face as much as possible. You know how that is going to work. But, just try to be honest about the situation. But I think what it is we need to do as well, considering that we are advocating for a black state of America, regardless if you're in California or already on the West Coast, just form your own black state at this point. But we have to make sure we start listening to our folks that are in the technology field, because, we pay attention to what these white folks do, and it ain't a game. We pay attention to what these Asians are able to do. It ain't a game. Get your kids to STEM, science, technology, education. Education and mathematics. You know what I mean? So that way we can start advocating and building up our own Wakanda surveillance or whatever we're going to call it. You know what I'm saying? Whatever we call it. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. But go ahead, though.
Yep, that's what we're doing in the city of Roseland with the Redemption Party. Exactly what you're talking about. That's the model for our city.
All right. I know we got Trouble up here. Trouble, we'll go ahead. Dion, I see you came into space. if you want to go ahead and speak tonight or whatever, we're not gonna keep the space going too much longer. Trouble, go ahead and unmute your mic. How you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Hope everybody else is doing well. To the brother Royal, can't see your name, Royal Blue, Royal Bloodline. What state are you trying to be a governor in? Because I just came into the space on the cusp of.
You talk about California.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to take a mental note of that. So I don't move to the state of California if you ever become governor, because we're already living in a state of constant surveillance, especially within the Black communities. And the last thing I need is a governor anywhere near me that wants to have a system set up like China. Someone who reveres the social credit score system that China has no business trying to be any type of official here in America, because that's not a viable system. We're humans, and we should be able to live like humans and not be surveilled like some savage animals. And I already live in a community where you see blue lights on every other corner that are cameras, but it's only in our community. It's not throughout the whole city. It's just in certain areas, mostly the Black areas. To me, that's a dangerous thing. And I get it. People say, well, I would use these to get the murderers and rapists. That's a good excuse. That's about like the bank telling me that I can only withdraw $500 off my card per day to prevent fraud. That's a system of control. It's not a system that's beneficial to me. That's you being able to control, and it's a setup. It's a lie. It's the.
May I speak, brother?
No, you may not, because I'm still speaking. Mute your mic. It's a system of control. You spoke pretty good. You like to speak over people, and you don't really have good temperament. So I'm just speaking my piece. I didn't like what I heard. A state of constant surveillance. First of all, as a government official, you say that you would be working 4 hours, 20 hours a day, and then rest for 4 hours a day. That's how long your body gonna allow you to do that? That sounds kind of janky off the back, because the average body is gonna need about 6, 7, 8 hours worth of sleep. As a government official, I don't want to see what you're doing 20 hours out the damn day. I mean, you're human. You want to do some janky freak stuff in your off time. You want to get your pussy popped or whatever. I don't need to be seeing that. That's none of my business.
I'm not. Well, first off, I'm not doing it. Number one.
Right, not here.
Number two.
Hey, real quick, Royal. Real quick. Everybody, we stay on our mics. Stay on your mics. Let Trouble go ahead and finish, and we can get it around, because, like you said, you did speak for a while. So let's go ahead and let Trouble speak. I also see Dion's in here too. So Dion, if you want to speak, raise your hand. If you want to tell people about your platform, raise your hand. Like I said, because the space is not going to go too much longer. But yeah, just stay on your microphone, Royal, and we'll get back to you. Go ahead, Trouble.
Thank you. I'm about to wrap it up.
It must be a double mute. Can you?
Yeah, it's double mute. So I'm going to wrap it up. I just want to say that we're already under a state of surveillance, and we have private security companies that have been capturing things on videos, and they've been capturing murders on video, and there's nobody who's really monitoring them. It's a system of corruption that we live in. And so those systems are once again, going to be used for, you get to capture who it is you want to capture. So I just don't want to live in a system that's making the surveillance even more tougher than what it already is, under the guise that you're looking for murderers and rapists, because you're not going to catch them all. You're not going to catch everybody. Every dog has its day, and when it's time for them to do what they do, they look. I just can't deal with what you're talking about. That's all I want to say. It just sounds like some foolishness to me, especially you talking about being monitored so that we can see what you're doing 20 hours a day. I don't want to see what you're doing 20 hours a day. I need to see what you're doing through legislations, through the policies that you're pushing, through all of that. What you're doing in your personal time and the other hours of the day, that's your business. Bottom line, period. Have a good night.
All right. All right.
Have a good night, brother. May I respond?
I'm gonna let you grip. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you a minute, but we got to go into the other speakers because you went for a minute. So I'll give you a minute.
Yeah, I just want to respond to that. I would say, brother, and I don't know you, but
That's a sister, actually. That's a sister. That's a sister. But go ahead.
Okay, sister. I'll say sister. Then little man stops traffic on Highway on March 23rd, 2021, and you'll know that there's no one that's gonna fight harder for you than me. My mother was the first black woman doctor at Stanford. She cured cancer. And what I'm telling you is that if I am the governor of the state of California, your worries and concerns about black people being over the veil are over. I'm not that person. I'm telling you is,
Hey, your phone breaking up. Your phone breaking up.
Okay. Well, listen, I said what I had to say. I apologize if I offended the young lady in any way, but I'm not the person. My mother would say that a woman should sleep 6 hours, a man should sleep 4 hours, and a fool should sleep 8. And so I'm gonna leave it at that, and I'll move on. And you guys, I'll be here. If anyone has any questions for me?
All right. Thank you, Raw. Let me go ahead and get you. Let me give a shout out to EHZX. Thank you for your super sticker over there on YouTube. Appreciate it. Let me see. Dion, like I say, you don't have your hands up. Did you want to speak in the space? Are you good? Do you want to speak or what?
Yeah. Well, what is it on me? I think there was some people ahead of me. So
Well, those people, though, everybody spoke. I'm gonna get to you, and I'm gonna get to Cash. So
got you. Okay. Well, yeah. So I'm a presidential candidate. I'm running for president right now. I'm a reparations candidate. I ran in 2015 the first time. I ran in 2020, and I'm running. I ran for U.S. Senate in the state of California in 2022. I was on the ballot. I was able to get 7,000 votes in the state of California. And right now, I think the number one issue facing Americans, and I'm not just saying Black Americans, Americans as a whole, is that Black Americans need reparations. The 14th Amendment is not being enforced for Black Americans, and that is a violation of the Constitution. Excuse me. The Equal Protection Clause is not being enforced. That is the problem. And there's a reparative justice premise that has to be addressed. And once I'm elected, if I get the people's support, I'm going to issue a state of emergency, and I'm going to sign an executive order for defense money, land, and grants. I've concluded that reparations has 4 elements: a defensive structure, cash payments, land, and building up infrastructure. So I'm going to put up a defensive structure for our people to be as commander-in-chief of the armed forces. I will have jurisdiction to set up military branches, law enforcement agencies that will enforce the rights for Black Americans, domestic and foreign. I will also give out cash payments. There are studies that Black Americans are owed $151 million per person. And these are cash payments. I'm also going to issue out land, and acres and acres of land was stripped away from our people. Mines mines included. I was able to trace my lineage, and I found out that one of my ancestors migrated to California because he was ran out of Waco, Texas, back during the Reconstruction era, back in the 1910s, same time when Woodrow Wilson issued out the first motion picture entitled The Birth of a Nation, glamorizing the Ku Klux Klan. He was ran out of Waco, Texas, and he migrated to the state of California. That happened all across the country to Black Americans. Millions and millions of acres of land have to be given back to the rightful owners. Not only that, but the Homestead Acts was given to millions of white Americans, and millions of acres of land were given to white Americans. They basically got reparations just for being white. So we have to pay back the compensation and pay back the land that was taken away from our people, and not only that, but the promise of 40 acres and you top of a promise, the treaties that were negated on. There's a lot of documentation that showed you that Black Americans have a lot of land that was taken away from them. And last but not least is building up infrastructure, giving grants to us to build up infrastructure, institutions, organizations, hospitals, schools, businesses, all across the country so that we can have a flow of currency inside of this country. Right now, when we talk about the Equal Protection Clause, what's not being talked about is the establishment of the economy and how there is a monopoly for white Americans in this economy, meaning that white Americans have basically a hold on our economy. They own the upper echelons of industry in the private sector. That's a problem. They also are top of the echelon chain when it comes to the public sector, the politics, the governmental infrastructure of how this country is established. That's a problem. So these things have to be addressed. Reparations is going to take care of that. If I'm elected, I'm going to address these issues one step at a time. And I'm also going to issue a state of emergency because the FBI put out memos that white terrorism is a threat to national security. As a matter of fact, Joe Biden's, the sitting president today, stated that white terrorism is the number one threat to national security. He said that in a speech at Howard University. The FBI put out a statement back in 2006 that white supremacy, white terrorist groups were infiltrating agencies all around the country. Not only that, but in 2014, the FBI also stated that white terrorist organizations grew from 149 to over 1,000 groups from the years of 2008 to 2014. So within a 6-year period, this country has been in existence for centuries, but in a 6-year period, that white terroristic groups unfolded from 2008 to 2014. That is crazy, right? That is absolutely crazy. That's a terroristic problem. That's a threat to national security. If I'm elected, I'm going to issue out a state of emergency under the RICO Act and under the Patriots Act. Patriots Act was signed by George W. Bush in 2004, giving jurisdiction to go after terrorists all across the country without even due process. Meaning that if you are suspected of any type of terrorism, you can be indicted without even due process. That's how serious that is. And the RICO Act forms a dotted line connection to everybody and their associates connected to these terroristic groups. That means that if I find out that there's a police chief, if I find out there's a congressman, if I find out there's a judge, if I find out if there's anybody, a CEO, if you are connected to any white terrorist organization, you will be dealt with. That's going to open up more money as well. I always use this example, the brother Freeway Ricky Ross, back in the 80s, he formulated a criminal mastermind entity during the cocaine epidemic. And during the crack epidemic, he was able to get hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, they seized everything he had. They seized his property, they seized his money, and they sent him to prison. He came out flat broke. If I can formulate a dotted line connection to CEOs, white institutions all across the country, and if I could pinpoint their infrastructures and form that line, connecting them to terrorism, domestic terrorism, it's going to be trillions of dollars opened up for reparations. And that's what I plan to do. I would be able to take land, money, all of these things will be straight opened up. And you cannot forget the Department of Treasury, any extra money that's going to be needed because this is a lot of money. I mean, we're talking about in the quadrillions of dollars. We're going to formulate that through the Department of Treasury. And this is how serious it is for me because as a reparationist, I threw out my own numbers when I found out that there were economists actually came to the conclusion that no, Black Americans are owed more than that. They're owed $151 million apiece. And when I found that out, I just threw away my calculations and I said, this is more formidable. So that's what I plan to do if I'm elected. And I think that this is very serious. We're in very dire times. We're looking at a Donald Trump possible presidency or a Joe Biden who may continue. None of them candidates are going to do anything for our people, the American people. America as a whole cannot live in a nation and not address the people who built this nation from its foundation. Black Americans are the people who we should understand that our rights are being violated. We're in distress. And the Institute of Public Policy Studies said by the year 2053, we are going to be a permanent underclass, meaning that our net zero income is going to be at $0. I think that's also a national security concern. So this is not just a Black American issue. This is an American issue. This is how we should promote it and advertise it. This is an American issue. You have a whole group of people. Black Americans are the second largest group in this country. If you strip away 41 plus million people in America, it is the reason why other nations are going to catch up to you and pass you up. That has to be addressed immediately, and that's what I'm going to do once you elect me. And I'm going to land right there.
All right. Thank you, Dion. Let me go ahead and get to, I see we got Cash up here. Rel, I know you had your hand up. Matter of fact, I'll let you guys be the last three speakers for the night. Rel, if you want to speak, then just raise your hand. It was up. Maybe, I know Rel may be at work, so maybe she can't come up and speak or whatever, but then we'll have Cash and Original be the last two speaker guys. Support us on Cash App for those that can. $sign Newstoter, $sign Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned Black American news media curation platform today in America. And once again, $sign Newstoter, $sign Newstoter. For those that don't have Cash App, the Venmo and PayPal is up in the actual Jumbotron. Same for my people over there on YouTube. $sign Newstoter, $sign Newstoter. The Venmo and PayPal is in the description. I know FBA Goddess, she had to take care of a personal matter, so she's not been available for the night, but we're going to go ahead. We'll get to Cash. We'll get to Original. And I guess, I see we got Royal. I see you down there as well, too, Royal Bloodline. I'll get back to you as well. Go ahead, Cash. How you doing tonight?
Yeah, peace. I'm sorry. In a minute. Yeah, I just wanted to say, first of all, that I'm Black American on both sides of my family for the context of the conversation. And thank you for having this space. Shout out to FBA Goddess as well and the other co-hosts. The 151 million per Black American that was mentioned earlier, I actually have a hashtag that can allow people to find more information on it. It's 6 quadrillion because it's $6.6 quadrillion in total and counting. And that figure was created from a 37-page paper written by 6 different authors. And they used a wage-based method, which is, should our ancestors have been paid the minimum wage that white folks were at the same time for a 24-hour day's wage with a 6% interest rate on it, how much would that be worth in modern day? So I just wanted to shout that out again and make sure that was well understood. So shout out to Dion for that.
Real quick, Cash, let me ask you one question, not to cut you off, but the $151 million, because we heard that number, and I think it came from Newsweek or one of those sites. But do you honestly think that's something that's realistic? $151 million for 40 plus million people. Do you think that's something that could even be done?
Yes, I do. And I'm traumatized daily by hearing more histories of our oppression, and specifically the economic parts of it, which I have to study as reparations. I won't belabor the room with the history of it, but I will say it is feasible. Dion has already spoke to it as a presidential candidate in this room. And calculations have been made. 151 million per Black American paid out over, let's say, an average 75-year lifespan would be $2,021,033 a year, or $168,000 a month. There are definitely trust fund babies being born with that amount currently. People born with tens of millions of dollars that they did not work for. And we're talking about multiple generations of stolen inheritance. So it has to be a large figure in my mind. It can't be a one generation's worth of lost payments if we're going to go with the wage-based method, which is what I tend to attach to. One thing I can mention on Newstoter is San Francisco is a bit more feasible than I am. They've mentioned not just lifetime payments, but multi-generational payments. In fact, 250 years of payments tied to the area median income. That way the incomes in the surrounding area will be tied to it. It'll fluctuate going up as the cost of living goes up. Some would say that's more feasible. 250 years, being tied to the country, some people are kind of against, but I just wanted to mention that since you have San Francisco in the title, in the same conversation as reparations. And I often mention San Francisco reparations demands. But thank you for that aside. Hopefully I was coherent. So Boston, San Francisco, St. Louis, Detroit I'll throw in there as well. There's a couple others, but I wanted to pin above the most recent bill that was suggested in San Francisco, in the state of California, SB 1331, which mentions a reparations fund. This will be for direct cash payments, and that 6% of the special fund for economic uncertainties in California will be used for payouts. And in my understanding, that's $225 billion. So that would be at 6%, $13.5 billion annually that would go towards direct cash payouts. And I think that's just a start, but I just wanted to bring that info to the room and say thank you again to any Black candidates that are fighting on our behalf in public. I know that there are plenty who are going to do it in private, including myself once I have my reparations. But shout out to those who put their face and their name on the line. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Cash. Let me go ahead and get to Original. Then I see you got your hand back up, Rella, so I guess I'll let you go after Royal Blood. Go ahead, Original. You got it. Unmute your mic.
Yeah, thank you, Newstoter. What I want to say was, this whole thing about surveillance, I have to agree with Trouble. I think it was Benjamin Franklin said that those who give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. So when people come in saying, giving up this and giving up that, once you start giving, that giving never stops. So I just want to say that. And then, Rella, I had mentioned this before, and you mentioned about the census. Back in the 90s, I heard this guy, and his stuff was pretty much on point, where he stated, they know how many of us are here, and they know who we are. But see, this guy, he stated that during World War II, that there were so many, and I've been trying to find this. I've not been successful in, personally verifying this, but I will say this person's stuff is pretty much on point. But they said that during World War II, that there were so many Black men who came out of the woodworks to join the military, and it scared the hell out of this government, and badly, as to where they conducted a special census just on Black folks. But they want, because see, back then, our people were being born at home. Their name would go in the Bible or whatever religious book that the family had. And so they didn't know a lot of these people existed. And so that scared the hell out of this government. And they've been tracking us ever since. Because truth be told, it was also revealed back in the 90s that they have been surveilling Dr. King's family for well over 75 years. So they know that we're here, and they're just scared that more people may wake up like we have awakened, and there are others that are going through their awakening. And so I just want to share that more than likely, if they wanted to give it up, they could give us that number tomorrow morning, and I'll let it.
All right. Thank you, Original. We get the Rella, then we'll get the Royal Blue, and then we're gonna close it out for tonight. Go ahead, Rella.
Thank you, Newstoter. Original, if you need some help on researching that, let me know. I'll see what I can find. I appreciate the space, Newstoter. For the most part, I take things kind of like with a grain of salt until you start to put pressure. And again, joining people's campaigns and actually getting on the ground is actually going to be where we'll start to see a lot of work and a lot of probably red tape, and that's really where it's going to come to when it comes to I heard somebody mention this is a war situation going on. Well, you'll see most of it on the ground, and you'll have to get involved with the candidates. The other thing is, I so appreciate Cash coming on stage and giving his submission. I wanted to provide everybody with the information. Kathy, I think her name is Kathy Hochul. She was able to find or secure over $183 million for victims and beneficiaries, which we say descendants. They call it victims and beneficiaries for stolen art, Nazi stolen artifacts, arts, and some additional claims to 18th century collections. Now, this is money that she's found in the United States. The Nazis were not necessarily here. We had white people. Let me be politically correct. We had Nazis. We had American-born Nazis, but we had Germans that came over. Of course, yes. But what I'm saying is, for Holocaust purposes, the Nazis that she was seeking this money for should have also gone through the claims with Germany and not necessarily the United States. I think it's very, very telling, again, that other groups of people get to loot the United States and then claim that they are securing things that were looted from them. I know for a fact from the organizations I support that slave owners, people even after Jim Crow, after Reconstruction, stole so many artifacts from homes, much like they're doing in Israel with the Gazans and, taking their things after they, genocided them out. They do the same thing. It's the same cultural setup. Once they actually, commit massacres, they go and they loot the home. That was done in the Louisiana massacre. That was done in other massacres that have been documented. And remember, I say this all the time, there has been a total of 68 plus massacres committed in the United States. So you do the math. If someone like this New York representative is taking $183 million away from the people in New York, to me that is a problem, because that should have been, I think, directed towards, again, Germany, not here in the United States. And I will land on that and say good night, everyone, and this has been a great space.
All right. Thank you, Rella. Appreciate it. Royal Bloodline, you want to go ahead and unmute your mic?
Hey, I appreciate you, man, for letting me speak to you. I just want to say, as far as the surveillance state, I think someone already stated it for me. We are already under a surveillance state, and I am trying to make the best out of that so that we direct it towards the right people and not the wrong people. And for those that are speaking and saying that I would be someone that would turn the surveillance state on the black community, I don't think you know me at all. And like I said, look up man stops dump truck on Highway 101, March 23rd, 2021, and you will know exactly who I am. I'm going through the biggest court case right now, probably in California history, where I understand what you're saying about the surveillance state, and they have no cameras. They claim to have no cameras because I'm being totally set up, or running for governor because I can actually win. Number two, I just wanted to say shout out to my brother DeAndre Jenkins. I believe in the MLDG plan, and I do want to also link with my brother, but I'd like to ask him a couple questions. Number one, does he think he can beat Donald Trump?
Well, real quick, because we make it quick because we gonna hold on. Hey, hold on. Make it quick because we're gonna be ending the broadcast in a little bit here.
I got you. Number one, can you beat Donald Trump? Number two, if you really want to be president of the United States, and I'm trying to, because we met up at the reparations conferences, why aren't you? Not even why aren't you? But do you know about the case for Emmanuel Smith? And are you willing to stand behind that case? And because if you're going to be president, I'd like to make sure, being from California, that you're going to stand up for a citizen of California and make sure that this case is taken in the right way and make sure it's taken. Because we're really going to win the case, and it's going to be a lot of money that the state owes. So I just have those two questions for my brother, but I appreciate his work. I know the brother, and I'm behind him. I think it's a tough road, but tough people get tough things done.
Yeah. So to answer the questions briefly, I can beat Donald Trump if the people got behind me. I think that the issue is there's not a lot of confidence right now. So, but that's something that we can change through the building of confidence and making sure that people understand what the mission is, and making sure that we address our concerns as a community and as a people. So yes, I do think that. I'm not familiar with that case. If you could send that to me in the back channel, that would be appreciated. But if it's something that I really believe in, of course, I will stand by it. I'm an activist, so any Black American that's trying to, take the state to court and push and fight for their rights, I'm always for that. So please send me that information and I will read over it. I appreciate it. But yes, to answer to answer your first question, yes, we can get behind this candidacy beyond the agenda 2024, and reparations should be the agenda for every Black American in this country.
Well, I appreciate it, Dion, and you got my vote, brother. So you ain't got to worry about that. You got my vote.
Yes, sir.
All righty. Appreciate that. Thank you, Royal. Thank you, Dion. Thank you, Miss Nichols, Tariq. Everybody that came up and spoke tonight, the actual candidates as well as the actual speakers who came up here and spoke as well tonight too, guys. We definitely appreciate you in this space tonight. Definitely share the space as well too. For my people on YouTube, guys, make sure y'all click the notifications and share the actual broadcast tonight. Same for my people here on X. Go ahead and share the actual Twitter space tonight, guys. That's going to pretty much conclude it for tonight. We may do a space tomorrow. I'm not entirely sure. We'll see. We'll see what's up. But if we don't, then you guys have a good weekend. Definitely have a good night. And we'll see you later on. So peace.